you're both young people, both in your early 20s, and the question is, which I remember we used to be asked is like, what are you committing doing, you know, like what are you even doing when you're 20 years old and in a serious relationship? Even though in that time, for example, if you're in a relationship, it feels like your entire world. So this time, Tash, let me begin with Rick.
Well, at that age, of course, like a relationship will take center stage in everything in your life because you have not developed yourself enough for you to be yourself. You haven't even gotten to you're at the initial stages of self-discovery. You know, so of course a relationship will become overbearing because if you think about it, right, technically if somebody's in the early 20s, they most likely finished high school like when they were 18, let's say, right? If decision making was a job, they're still at very much the entry level phase. You know, so at that moment in time, you can't expect somebody to have formulated like opinions and views on what they want out of a relationship. So you're likely to make really terrible mistakes at that age. That's my take on it.
All right, Natasha.
And exactly that is the reason why you shouldn't be in a relationship in your early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think it's right that you do that at that age because first of all, you haven't even gotten something for yourself, you know, you're already making someone else the center stage of your life, yet you are still in campus, you know, ama umeanzisha biashara and now your boyfriend is here yelling at you, where are you at 6 p.m. You should be in the house. Hi, ma'am, can you give me a break? Let me grow. What?
I see.
Yeah.
But you know, we were having this conversation a while ago, and we were saying that, one of the guests was saying that there's a comfort that these relationships bring. And I don't think for some young people, they're thinking long term, but it just ends up becoming something long term because again, it's not planned for. It's just supposed to be a camaraderie of, you know, good vibes and just, you know, togetherness. If I'm feeling, you know, alone, I have this person to talk to. So it's not per se that this person is thinking long term. But again, there's nothing that you do that doesn't have consequences.
Exactly. And to add on top of that, like, for your frontal lobe to fully develop, somebody needs to be at least at the age of 25, right? And of course, at that stage in your life, the ability to actually like think long term is very limited, you know? And what young people fail to realize, and for us, we have the benefit of hindsight, it's one bad relationship can cost you years of your life. It can cost you years trying to get back to who you were before that relationship, you know? So at the end of the day, as you said, everything has consequences. And before you get into these things, do not let the familiarity of somebody become so detrimental to who you are that you lose yourself in a relationship. And that's more likely to happen, especially when you're young.
All right. Natasha, the same thing?
I feel like in symbiotic relationships, yeah, not in symbiotic, in every relationship, it has to be symbiotic, yeah? You have to give something and get something. At your early 20s, what exactly are you giving your partner, yeah, to last them a lifetime, ama to make them feel like they are loved enough, yet you haven't even recognized who you are, you haven't figured out exactly what you want in life, you know. You might have even loved them out of, it's a traumatic bond, you know. So the moment you just get out of high school, you're just in campus and you start bonding with people. You haven't even taken care of your inner child, your inner teen. So you're just bonding with people in hindsight, yeah, whatever you are going through when young. So that isn't the right, I wouldn't recommend that someone gets in a relationship at that age. It's too early. It's very early. Probably 25, start thinking about it then, because it's not right that someone starts loving someone entirely. Because pia wasichana, we are like that, yeah? Tunapenda kabisa.
Yeah.
We fall in love. And sometimes the men are not falling with us. So that will make this person come to think about it later. Unaanza kusema, what if it happens to be like the other one that I had in my 19, when I was 19, ama when I was 20. Kwanza there is a theory that of these men you meet at 19. There is also that. So not recommendable.
Right.
Not recommended.
Now, ideally, by the time someone is 20, they should have a particular perspective of who they are. And they're supposed to have the tools also to start knowing, or Rick or Natasha, this is my temperament. this is how I am, this is what I like, this is what makes me sad, this is what makes me happy. But most of the time, you find that most young people, and I think it doesn't matter which generation, there's that crisis you have in trying to really understand, and there's almost a pressure for you to get over that stage of your life really quickly. So it looks like you do have time, because 20 is very young, but at the same time, you do not have time, depending on the kind of pressure you're meeting in that particular point.
I think it's very unfair for you to place that kind of expectation on a 20, 21, 22-year-old, right? Because think about it like this, right? Up to the point this person was 18, for months at a time, there were other people making decisions for them, how they spend their time, when they eat, when they shower, when they do A, B, C, D. All of a sudden, this person is supposed to know how they feel, what it is that they want to do with their life, their temperament, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, And let's be very honest, yes, you do get what you need from school in terms of an educational perspective, but school leaves us lacking when it comes to social skills. Those are things that you have to learn through practice.
So do you feel like parents or guardians do not take enough time to equip?
I think society as a whole, we have failed our young people because we have this traditional mindsets that let me give you an example. Our school system segregates boys and girls. You have to expect these boys and girls when they're 20, 21, 20, like 30, like that age group, all of a sudden they would have magically acquired skills to understand one another, relate with one another. It does not work like that. I feel like, yes, there are risks that comes to letting like both genders interact at a young age, and those are the fears that drive society. But I feel like society has more to gain when you let young people interact with each other when they're younger. Let schools be integrated, and it's not a parental thing per se. It's a thing that society needs to look at as a whole. Are we equipping our young people with social skills that would actually help them along like in life, Yeah.
All right. Natasha.
Okay, so I feel like, first of all, I wouldn't recommend that people are mixed, because I've seen how people behave in mixed schools, and it's not they fear this would happen. It happens. It's not a fear, it's something that has happened before. That's why they decided, we are going to segregate these people, let them grow up. And then when you're at the right age, that's why you go to campus. And then now you start opening your horizons to seeing, oh my God, this gender does this other gender.
So Natasha, then do you believe because of them not mixing early or being given the right ideologies on how to, girls and boys can stay together in a healthy way, and then you go to campus and then there's the extreme ends of what was missing,
yes,
in high school. Do you feel like also the opposite is true, or?
Well, not really, because I feel like once, it's not that they don't interact entirely, because they're holidays, It's just that the time is limited where you interact with them, because you can at home, you have brothers, you have cousins, you have friends who are male, as for me, yeah? So it's not like that necessarily, not entirely. I feel like it is more good than bad if it's like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I had asked Rick also, same thing. Ideologies, do you feel like that is also what was lacking in terms of training? Because like you said something important, we're supposed to be ready for this society or so. And it's really an extreme whereby if you are coming into the world, you'll either feel it more or you'll feel it less depending on how you've been brought up and your experiences, right?
Yeah.
So ideally, this is good.
Yeah.
You're supposed to know who you are, but realistically, that's not how it works.
Well, I feel like it's something we need to introduce to people and to younger generations, because we cannot fully blame the previous generations for not taking care of us. They're also living for their first time. Hakuna venye nitakuja niseme mama huku nifunza hivi, hata yeye amenipata mtoto wa kwanza, hata yeye ajui. It's not something that she was born knowing. So you give her that grace and work on yourself as a person. Make sure you work on your ideologies. Just erase everything you are taught and learn who you are from the beginning. That's what I see, yeah.
So, Rick, I want you to point to me here what the scenario of a relationship right now looks like, especially in young people. Why exactly are younger people going into a relationship? You even hear 13-year-olds or 14 saying, this guy was asking me today, or this chick was asking me if we can date, but I was telling them I'm not ready, I'm not sure. And you ask yourself, what exactly do you even mean by dating? Do you think you understand dating? So we're talking about 20, but the scale here is lower.
That's true, and I feel like it's a combination of factors, right? We find ourselves in a time where like relationships are very romanticized, very romanticized. Like even people who are in their 30s, they have this romantic outlook on relationships, you know, and that's just not necessarily the case. The romantic elements to a relationship, but that's not what it is, you know. And to make matters worse, we live in a time where social media has really brought to the forefront all the things that human beings draw to when it comes to relationships, because everybody wants to feel loved. Everybody is craving that connection, you know. So when these young people are flocking into relationships when they're young, it's because they're looking to scratch that itch, you know.
What they've seen, basically.
What they've seen and what their heart desires, like every single person inherently, there's that desire to feel like I am wanted, I want to connect to someone, I want to share myself with someone. And usually, the general progression should be, I need to first connect with myself, then learn to connect with other people. But we live in a time, relationships are brought to the forefront to the extent where young people want to skip that step of getting to know yourself first. I'm like, let me just figure it out when I'm in a relationship.
And why do you think that is? Is it boring? Is it not appealing? Is it something that's too much work? Because it doesn't end at that age. It's even when you're older. It still feels like an uphill task for some people.
It's because the way we look at singlehood is very negative. It's supposed to be a fun thing. It's supposed to be a process. Self-discovery is a fun process, but it's not a process that we talk about enough. We like to talk about the finished article, like, and it all goes down to things like social media, right? Like we like to look at the guy with the house, the car, the girl, the A, B, C, D, right? But the work to get there, that's not so photogenic, you know? So the process is very, very important, especially in this particular like sense, you know? But because it's not something that's particularly alluring to look at, it's not something that's widely advertised. So most guys, they don't even clock that, you know? Yeah.
I see. Now, Natasha, but you and Thog are very, popular personalities. And you guys are speaking a lot of sense right now. But right now, you're also 20, you're also young, and I'm sure you face the same pressure.
Yeah.
So as an individual, what made you say, hey, I'm not going to do this serious thing, right now, I'm going to wait. Like, I think there's this TikTok thing I saw the other day, actually yesterday, and my colleague Brandy was showing me about this 20-year-old who was complaining about her 36-year-old boyfriend that he likes massages. And she had a very big problem about him getting massaged after he gets a haircut, given that he is going to meet her parents in December. So she said she's in a very serious relationship with a 36-year-old, individual. So what are your thoughts? You could also share personal experience as to why maybe you thought you wouldn't.
That's crazy business. That's mad. But okay, I want to first address something Togo said before I answer your question. It's inherent. We're inherently, wired to want connection and love and feel all that. But it shouldn't be really strong. Like if I were your entire, I want this, I want this. If it's like that, then you need a therapist. That's just it. Yeah. But for me, I feel like I have been in a relationship, that's what. And I was at 19, hence the 19, the man you meet at 19 theory. I've experienced it firsthand. I will give you a story time. But it's not, I felt like it's not fulfilling for me. First of all, I had bigger goals than the person I was with. You would listen to how he spoke, and that's just
Was he way older?
No, he was like 3 years older. And imagine at 19, I see that your vision is not as, like I feel like you need to first look to where you want to get. That's why I chose not to date until I'm older, and even now is not really the right time for me. And I'm realizing I'm growing old, guys. But that's not a problem. Yeah, older. I'm getting older.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It's the vision where their mind is at, where my mind is at, they don't really go together. And then I came to realize also, this is not someone I want to see as the father of my children. Their behavior, their moral values, how they behave in front of people, it's not someone I'd like to introduce to my mom and dad, So I sat and thought, maybe this person might change later. But as of now, this is not who I want to put myself in a box with, because the moment I put you as the center stage, as my number one, is everything, then I'll definitely have to put my goals up chini. You know, you can wait. I have to talk to my boyfriend right now. You know, you can wait. I have to make sure he is not cheating. I have,
you're including this individual in your plans.
It has to, because it's a relationship.
Initial,
yeah.
You
have
should be
to.
focusing. Okay.
And then unajua relationship, your relationship, it has to be really given attention. Let's not behave like you can speak to me today and then tomorrow not, and then 2 weeks after then you're like, hi babe. That's not the case. You have to give me attention the same way you'd give your business attention. Every day, morning to evening, you have to text, you have to call, and probably you're not even saying anything important. You're just saying, hi babe, umekula, unalala, umevaa, wewe.
All right, fair. Rick.
Yeah.
Well, okay, for me personally, I'll say one thing. I have made that mistake. Like, and the reason why I'm so against people dating when they're young, and you can call me out on my bias here. It's when you're young, you will hurt people. You barely know yourself. In those relationships, you will hurt people in ways that you will regret later. You will get hurt in ways that will take you years to heal. I found myself in relationships that till today, I'm still unlearning the terrible habits that I learned in those relationships, you know. And
you
I get
learning
it.
from the partner you had at that time.
It's a combination of a situation presenting itself in such a way that I am doing things to try cope and trying to manage how I feel, and also being in a situation where you realize, oh, this is how people deal with things. Even I might want to jump on that bandwagon, you know. So a combination of these negative behaviors that I have to unlearn later. I'm just like, yo, that's not the way to love someone. That's not the way to show somebody you appreciate them, you know. And that thing of young ladies who are like dating far much older men, you have to understand one thing. There's a reason they're not dating women their age. Because women their age will be able to see some things that you will not be able to see. And those ladies who find themselves in those situations, I kid you not, you are not, he chose you. You were picked. And it's not in a good way. You know, they target younger women because they know they can manipulate them.
I see.
Yeah. And that's called grooming, by the way. It's called grooming. Once a man is way much older than you, it's because they know they can manipulate you, either financially, physically, emotionally, more so emotionally and mentally. But grooming is such a big deal because you tend to think of this person as as your father than your partner, and they tend to think of you as a daughter, and that's crazy business. That's not right.
It's
Yeah,
so
that's not
normalized.
healthy.
It's so normalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the perspective of financial stability has taken over a whole lot of core conversations.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like you cannot get past it. You cannot have this conversation and not speak about the financial aspect of anything, right? And even here on the show, we've had that conversation so many times where even young people your age, you know, they'll say it's important to have these older guys because they provide this and that. But there's the notion that your psyche or your mind does not get affected as a young person because you're quote unquote in charge of the situation, and he's giving you this money or he's giving you whatever he's giving you, and then you're benefiting from, maybe you're flying out, you're going to different places, accessing different things that you would not have access. So do you believe, like I said, both of you are young, that like your mind does not get affected, who you are, like the way you think, the way your exposure to life is not affected?
It will definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, and this one anyone can call me out on, because and this is a hill by the way I'm ready to die on, in the sense of you cannot substitute a job with a relationship. You cannot make a relationship to be your source of income. And if you do that, believe me, it will come with the work-life balance. It is a job. Understand that. And it will take something from you. And the one thing people really fail to like address is the fact that psychologically, at a subconscious level, what is it that you're telling yourself? You're telling yourself that my love, my attention, my time has a specific price tag to it. You get? Whatever that number is, that is something that at the end of the day, it will make you feel less of yourself over time. Because that is something that's priceless. Because it's not something you can ever get back. You know? And I have friends who have gone through that journey where they're really, I'm here for a short time, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. You know that mentality, you know? And then years down the line, these are guys who, when we were 19, 20, they went into that lifestyle. Now we're 26, 27, they're in a place where they would rather be drunk 24/7 than sit with themselves. They're struggling with deeper things because this particular action took something from them that they're struggling to get back.
I see.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's assume you, as a child you were beaten or you were shouted at. That will affect you when you're older. So you want to tell me a man manipulating you for years, using your body or your time, and for you, you think you're using him. The whole time you're just putting yourself in deeper, things to heal from. After a few years, it will come haunt you. Trust and believe.
I
You
see.
might think at that moment it does not, but it will.
All right. And with that, we're taking a short break. We'll be back with more of this conversation. Do stay with us.